Penny, we are back. We are back. Nobody's here yet, and that's okay. We didn't announce this.
Private chat before they all join us.
Well, by some people are going to be like, I didn't get any notifications, and we usually like put it out there and announce it and let the world know. But you had this whole surgery thing.
Oh, look, there's Andy and Christine.
Of course, leave it to the West Coasters to show up first. But you had this whole like shoulder thing. Give us an update. How are you feeling?
I don't feel too bad, actually. Bit tired, uncomfortable. The shoulder is, I don't know if I can show you. There are 5 holes in there. And they do, what is that thing you said? An arthroscopy?
Yeah, it's I can't remember the words I used. I mean, come on, Penny, write it down.
I've had the tendons reattached, severed.
So they go in as an arthroscopy where they put in, they plug a couple of holes in, they stick in some cameras, they do a little needlework, and then can't move your shoulder for a week.
Called anchors. So he's used anchors to anchor the tendons.
Well, maybe if your arms weren't up over your head for hours on end, you wouldn't need to do that.
Brandon, shh. Don't give all my secrets away. You naughty little minx.
And by the way, we are aware that Penny's a little bit groggy on her feed. She's in the middle of a thunderstorm right now. Not a whole lot we can do with that, but I've done an upgrade over here. I have a new setup here. I have all new equipment.
You're not telling me you've got new equipment.
I just told you. I didn't want to.
Such a tease. You are such a tease.
I
kind of make the quality of the interactions with you more streamlined.
In other words, I can last longer without glitching. Yes. I hear you.
You can go longer.
Yeah, I can go longer. So that's good for everybody, from what I understand. I mean, I don't know. No complaints so far. It's like, the old one is still, here. Anyways. So how are the Europeans taking the United States president right now?
What can I say?
Pretty much a shameful, diatribe of self at this point.
Saudi and the Qatar thing is kind of like we're just going, I can only do a one-hand expression, but it's like, what? WTF?
Yeah, I mean, listen, just in terms of the United States, there are actually laws and sanctions for doing such thing. He is currently going through his first of probably many impeachments, which impeachment is still to formally charge, but then you don't necessarily move forward with the charges, because if they show a corrective action, then they can, be like, hey, we're just gonna, but Donald Trump has far and exceeded, in terms of presidents, the most impeached or articles of impeachment moved against the president in the history of the United States. And it's so funny because...
Can I say something, Brandon? Because I'll tell you the first thing that came into my mind when I saw he'd signed this big deal with Saudi. I thought, hang on a minute. On one hand, you're trying to stop all the wars, and then you're doing an arms deal. That doesn't quite balance out for me, because that's like, let's just fund a bit more so that you can blow yourselves to bits, but we make money. And do you know what's coming down in front of my screen? I'm not going to guess.
Spider?
Yeah, a little baby spider. I think that's lucky.
Well, listen, spider energy is very healing. So think of it this way, Penny. From all over the world, people are sending you energy right now, so your shoulder feels better.
How
about that?
Thank you, everyone, for your good wishes and healing vibes. And I know a lot of you have put comments on the various posts I've put out. I've not been able to respond yet because I'm having to type with my left hand, and I'm just finding that, well, actually,
we all know your left hand is not your strong hand. And that's not the one you want to end up with. Sorry, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's right, Kaorik. DJT laws don't apply. Absolutely. Oh, too strong solar flares, Elizabeth. Sorry, Annabelle. Well, that's really interesting. Hi, Tiffany, because do you know what I think? I think that Mother Earth is speaking up and Uranus is still in Taurus and the sun is coming up to be exactly conjunct Uranus in Taurus.
Yeah.
I feel that the Earth is just going to say, enough. We had a big earthquake in the Mediterranean yesterday or 2 days ago near Crete.
You did.
It didn't cause any damage, but it has created the potential for a tsunami. Which
are you feeling the effects? Because when that one hit near Greece, I was concerned for you. Whereabouts was it in the Mediterranean, this one?
Crete, which is an island to the sort of
2 islands over, yeah.
Well, it's a long way from here. It's about 2 or 3 hours by air. It's a long way.
I forget how vast you are there.
We are enormous, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 30 minutes from Vermont. I'm 30 minutes from 5 other states. So, you know, for me, travel's like a whatever.
Just to answer Annabelle, it's not too uncomfortable. The shoulder feels better in the sling. It's just that I'm holding onto it like this to stop the weight of the arm pulling my neck forward, because then I'm going to get neck problems and have a lovely hunchback like Quasimodo in the Nostradam. And I'll be bell ringing for the rest of my life.
You are just entertained. Are you currently on anything?
Just my usual.
Just your usual?
And no alcohol, because remember, I've been off that for 2 years now.
I'm so proud of you. I've been off bagels.
Well done.
So.
Whiskey and bagels anymore.
I know. Isn't that funny? Like we named a show after things that we just needed to get rid of. And by the way, I'm not, you're not anti-whiskey. It's not like you can't have one.
No, it's not one. I mean, my doctor, when he came in to see me when I got back from the hospital on Tuesday, said, if you want a whiskey because you think it'll relax you, because I was pretty stressed and I got anxiety.
Yeah.
He said, have a whiskey. And I said, well, not really. I think I'll be fine. I said, I just need you to check me over, because my heart was doing all those leapy things, you know, where it goes, ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. And it scares me. Quite frankly, it scares me. And so once he'd said, it's fine, it's normal, it's regular. Right. Oh, okay, then. I was fine.
Yeah, and yeah, it's funny. I'm reading the clips here too. You know, Rachel came up with a great thing. Put a towel underneath that. Well, I mean, you know, you're getting rope burn. You're like driving around without a shirt on, you know, and putting on your seatbelt. Like, what's up with that?
Oh, I see.
I mean, I know you like things to burn a little bit, but not like this.
But this is nice and soft. It's very, very padded. It's very padded, darling.
The entire show is just.
Hi, Janice, Elizabeth, Rachel, Mimi.
We are just chock full of innuendos and what have yous, right?
I'm just going to move Spider out the way, actually, because I don't. Oh, he doesn't want to go. Okay.
You are definitely looser than normal.
Am I?
Is that wrong that I'm saying that? You were definitely a little more relaxed.
Depends what you're referring to.
Listen, I don't know. For a 70-year-old woman, you're built pretty well. So there's really nothing to be concerned with or worried about. So you can take a sling on your shoulder for a couple of more days. You'll be good. So when are you going to get out of the sling?
I've got to wear this for 4 weeks.
4 weeks, huh?
But I can take it off every hour and do what they call pendulum exercises, where I hang it down and just let it sort of the weight of it just gently swing. Oh no, of course I'm not killing Spider.
Yeah, no spiders were harmed during this filming.
Never kill a spider. And Elizabeth, I do suffer from AF, atrial fibrillation. That's why I was worried, and I'm on medication for it. So don't worry. I've got a cardiologist and all of that.
I'm still making you sign a waiver, though. Just letting you know. I'm still making you sign a waiver, though.
Oh, God.
So listen, let's take a look at some astrology. And
Yeah, yeah.
listen, we can apply to it. Listen, I want to do a quick ad here. I have a bereavement course coming up here at the end of the month. It is
Excellent.
4 weeks. It's looking at your spiritual connection after death, signs from loved ones, that sort of thing. Honoring your loved ones. How do you kind of keep a legacy going for them? How do you build your lessons from loss? And then moving on without leaving them behind. It's kind of an important part of this, because sometimes we think that when we get over something, it's about forgetting. That is a very modern yet archaic way of looking at it. So just want to give that there. Go to the website, tbrandonruss.com. And of course, you can book Penny. What a great welcome back gift if you were to welcome Penny back with a reading and gifting a reading to yourself. How about that? Your gift for your birthday.
But I'm not going to see anyone before June.
Well, that's okay. They can still book with you. Get in line.
They can book with me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Just go to the website, pennydix.com, email me direct, and I'll sort everything out.
Good deal. So listen, this Sun conjunct Uranus is a big deal, because we also have Neptune and Saturn dancing as well. What's going on here? Like, I mean, just your astrological take on this, and the time noted here is when the Sun and Uranus are full conjunct in Europe. So just to give people some reference here, what's your quick view on this?
Well, dynamic, but blockages. It's like breaking through, bursting through something, because you've got the dynamic energy of Capricorn and Cancer on the ascendant, descendant, and then you've got Scorpio, Taurus on the MCIC. So you've got that fixed energy of I'm not moving, I'm not shifting, I'm not giving in. And then you've got the Sun conjunct Uranus in the fourth house, which also can represent a country, the homeland. So this could be about, and you see the Sun could represent a leader, a world leader. And Uranus, of course, as we know, is completely unpredictable, and we have no idea what it represents. And it's Taurus. So there's also, I think there's a mixture of things here, Brandon. I think what we have here is the potential for some very unusual and unpredictable earth energetic movements in the form of more maybe earthquakes or volcano things, anything like that. I think is around solar flares. And I also think because the Sun can represent leaders, because it's the Sun, so it's a leader, and also the Sun, I think, represents health. And so this could be the sudden disappearance for whatever reason of a leader, or something happening that stops that leader in their tracks. So they have to take time out. They have to take a break. So that's my sort of
it's kind of it is kind of a timeout chair for me, but it's also it can be an accelerant in a very positive way too. And I think from a social dynamic, and by the way, I love what you had to say about that, because I think from from the personal astrology and then the broad out 30,000-foot view astrology, there is a difference here. And I think especially when it comes to Uranus, like we may have shocking change of events or moving in a different way. It doesn't have to be painful. But when social stuff changes, when society changes, we're hitting the foundation of who we are, and everything from moral content to abruption of, like, everything is being tested right now here in the United States, and then therefore globally in some by proxy way. And I think that these are the things that are getting tested. Is the United States willing to have its people still run the country, or do we want to turn it over? It has been a resounding rebellion over here. Resounding. Every weekend there are protests. Every weekend there are elevations of things. Now you also talk about change in health of leadership or change of leadership. The impeachment process won't be swift. Like nothing. One thing that we have realized in this country is that, justice that takes a long time to be administered is justice denied. Right. So we're realizing that our processes are insanely broke. They're broke for immigrants. They're broke for criminals. They're broke for people that need to have speedy trials and justice. And maybe we define ourselves more, and maybe these are catapults you know, for us to be able to kind of like step into a new time to finally say, yeah, you know what, we're going to come in with this radical new change, you know, in technology. I also think in the global scale too, I think we're going to see a major breach and or otherwise disruption in our technical value here, whether it be the internet, whether it be banking. You know,
Yeah.
those are all really high indicators when it's
Yeah.
just so much energy, where most conjuncts are kind of like a, hey, guess what? Venus and your moon are going to get together. It's time to put on the Barry White and enjoy it. And it's like, oh, it's a focused energy. Or, you know, Mars and Pluto are hanging out. So guess what? You're going to go key a car and go streaking, you know, like, right? Like it's, you know, there's kind of amped up energy. When it comes to Uranus and it comes to the sun, it's an incredible amount of trickster energy. And you know, this here appearing in the fourth house, you know, is going to be the things that are close to you, your family, your recognition. Does it mean somebody in the family is going to pass? I don't know, but there's transition, there's change here for people. And maybe it's you wrapping your arms around, you know, the types of losses that you had, right? What about though?
Can I tell you something about Europe though? Because you ask me sometimes how Europe is experiencing what is happening in the United States. Do you
Right.
know, on none of the news medias that I have watched has anything ever been mentioned about any protests against the current administration in the United States? Nothing. I only
Really?
hear it from my American clients or from you now. So you think it wasn't
Well, I am here to tell you that there are some very well organized, not militant. It is peaceful protests. It is, you know, and of course the right is sitting there going, "Oh, what are you going to do? Change the world by protesting?" Yeah, fucking yeah. You know, his approval rating is in the dump, which okay, you know, that just tells you he's on the ropes. He's been on the ropes before. He was a convicted 34-time felon. Like he's been on the ropes before. And I think what this is kind of a finishing move. We need a finishing move is what we need. You know, so me informing you that these protests are alive and kicking. I mean, you know, here in the United States, I will tell you they are reporting it and it is getting out there. Most politicians in Washington, when they return home during the breaks, they do these kind of rally points called town hall meetings. And in these town hall meetings, it's a chance to kind of like rub elbows with people. And most of it was just a feel good thing. You would have some people question, like, why did you support that bill? And then they would have to substantiate it and that sort of thing. They are becoming melees here, where they're literally people shouting, like, why are you supporting fascism? Why are you supporting a criminal? Why are you like, people are just, there's no decorum anymore. And I think we needed that. I think we needed to reduce the niceties because we're required to be nice about it because they say, well, look at you, you're acting like an animal. Meanwhile, they turn around and say in the most civilized manner, we're going to strip you of all of your rights. We're going to let you know that we're no longer going to give you due process. Like the things that they're touching on are dangerous. And Stephen Miller's at the center of it. In the White House. I mean, he's kind of the head of the snake for me. Trump is just a puppet sideshow. He's a puppet for Putin. Now he's a puppet for Qatar. He is definitely a puppet for the Project 2025 people. So, you know, there's all of that. So you don't get any reporting on any of the rebellion?
Nothing. I only know because American clients or Canadian clients have mentioned it to me, or from you yourself, Brandon, telling me now. Otherwise, we don't get told it. It's not there. Not there.
Well, let me tell you something. It's alive and kicking. The rebellion is strong. And, you know, and listen, everybody does their part. That's the thing that we have to recognize with this. Everybody has a part. Canada had a part. They knocked it out of the park. Mexico has a part. They're knocking it out of the park. Greenland has a part. They're knocking it out of the park. Germany has a part. They're knocking it out of the park. Britain knocking it out of the park. You know who's not knocking it out of the park against him? The terrorist states, the totalitarian states. Like we're having, we're having this world war from within. We're supporting terrorism through this stuff.
I think we already have a World War III going on now.
Oh gosh, it's been on information. It's been technology. So maybe, like I said, maybe this is the head of the beast. And listen, Doge and the whole thing about like rooting through all of our stuff and Elon Musk was nothing more than a heist. I mean, it was an Ocean's 11 style heist where they came in and just stole all our information. I'm going to actually I've been writing notes. And by the way, because I have this new studio and because it's so streamlined and because I can go longer.
Whoa.
I know. I saw it.
You're such a team, Brandon.
I have
to get all your adoring female fans.
Oh my gosh. 80, listen, according to my current YouTube numbers, 88% of my constituents are women, and over 68, no, actually it's closer to like 72 now, are 55 and older. So listen, I know my target market. It's just us girls. We're gonna have hot flashes all night. Thank you very much. Right, I don't mess around. It's all good. And by the way, the lion's share of the next bracket is 45 to 55. So I see you guys. The 23-year-olds like tune into us and they're like, what is that? It's a couple of old people just sitting here talking about like astrology. Like I'm a hipster, so I hang out with astrologers anyway. So but in this video I want to really kind of lay out the 5 things that I think the United States are going to have to do after the Trump administration. And one of them is actually secure our information again. I think we're going to have to come in with a whole new, I think our old social security number is going to go away. And you're going to need a brand new social security number, which will be double encrypted. Oh, by the way, that'll be how we vote. Like everything will be streamlined. So you can't take it away. You can't manipulate the system anymore. You are the system. And on one level, that's dangerous. And then on the other level, it's security, right? So yeah, for sure. Play, love, remember. Yeah, we are the wisdom keepers. Yes, Elaine, we love to see Penny doing well.
Thank you.
There you go. Hey, Carol, how are you? Good to see you. New friends coming in. Rita, surprise. I told you guys it was coming. I just didn't say when. But yeah, let's take a look.
Saying he is simultaneously breaking down America, but he's also pointing out the corruption within and what needs to be changed.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, and Janice brings up that Rachel Maddow brings up the protests. Of course she does. She's actually led the force in so much of this nonsense. Like, what are you doing here? Like, how are we allowing this? She has done great social commentary, and I don't believe in all of her stuff politically. And by the way, I don't believe in anybody's stuff totally politically. But I think Rachel Maddow has done a great job at beating the the force on this. And by the way, in the United States, here's the trend that's going on. Most of our news is really accumulated and assimilated by the late evening like talk shows, because they're done with humor, because you can't take it all on the chin. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just such devastating news, right? I'm
finding there is incredulity coming from certain broadcasters, journalists, so that they have to use humor and a way of saying things like, and apparently this is really happening. This kind of spin on it, that they're saying WTF, what the FUCK is going on, because this is bonkers.
I love how you are so
polite.
You're such a British lady.
Hang on,
you're allowing the decorum. Are you okay? Is it raining out again?
No, it is raining. I was just making sure the cat wasn't trying to break out. George Chin. No, he's up on the kitchen unit. That's okay.
I still remember one of the conversations. We were FaceTiming, and it was late in the evening, so it was probably a little about this time, maybe a little later. And your feet were up. You were looking out over your veranda. and there was a storm in the middle of the Mediterranean, and you were watching it. It was probably a kilometer away or so, and you were just sitting there watching it and reveling in just you're like, I'm just sitting here watching it. It dropped the temperature like 5 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Everything's great.
Thank you, Rita, for saying
what's
I'm
that,
eloquent. Rita is saying I'm eloquent and elegant.
Ah,
grazie Hafner.
As always.
Maltese.
Kind of like a Mary Poppins, like a practically perfect in every way. Oh, hold on a second. Where are we?
What are you doing?
Oh, that's weird. How about that? Oh, there we go. So, listen, before we move on from this chart, let's talk a little bit about what Saturn and Neptune are going to mean for us here in the following week. This is a pretty, I mean, listen, Uranus and the Sun is no joke, but what are some of the ramifications of Saturn and Neptune going conjunct? I mean, right now Saturn's at 29 degrees Anarich in Pisces. It's about to leave Pisces for the next 26 years.
Well, no, remember, Brandon, it leaves for a few months, and then both Neptune and Saturn will go back into Pisces for a few months, and they fully move in next year, at the beginning of 2026, around about February.
And then that's when it goes for 26 and a half years.
Yes, their exact conjunction is something like the end of February. So we get a conjunction. Really, we've got a conjunction now, although it's out of sign still. And Saturn is going, I can't remember when Saturn's going into Neptune, but it's very soon. It's either the end of this month or in the middle of next month. I can check in a minute. But I think it's an interesting, because first of all, you've got Saturn will be at the 0 world point, which is an amazingly powerful power point of activation and energy, of new beginnings. And it's Saturn about structure, teaching. It's Aries. It's about fire, passion, assertion, energy. It's about I am, the ego as well. And when it comes up to be in Aries, and it will be conjunct Neptune, but not exact by the minute, okay? You've got these two very different energies. You've got Saturn, Earth, cardinal, structured, deliberate, disciplined. Neptune, all over the place, rules Pisces, disintegrates, dissolves, everything disappears in a romantic kind of, numinosity of dreams. And so there's something here about Saturn perhaps trying to put some structure into the dream that Neptune is bringing into the equation as it moves into the first few degrees of Aries. But we also have to look at Ceres, which is sitting there at 0 degrees of Aries, just in between Saturn and Neptune, because she is also Demeter, mother of Persephone. Persephone, who was abducted by Pluto into the underworld. And so Ceres, or Demeter, is known as the mother of the earth. She is Gaia. She is all about the seasons, and she is desolate when her daughter is taken away from her. And of course, Persephone actually discovers she quite likes it down there, because he's a bit of a racy guy. And so when she leaves,
once again, I just let you go, and it's just a matter of time. So this is proof positive where Penny just has to go there, right?
But just let me finish the story, because it's really interesting.
Sure. Oh yeah, I love it.
What happens is a deal is done. I believe Mercury is the deal maker or the deal broker, and he does a deal that Demeter or Ceres can have Persephone back on the planet overworld for 6 months of every year, and for 6 months she has to go back to Hades and down to the underworld. But Persephone actually has been a little bit crafty, because she actually quite enjoyed a little bit of bouncy with Pluto. She takes some seeds of the pomegranate, which she knows will ensure, because he's told her, that she has to return to the underworld. So you see, she's kind of lost her maidenhood and her innocence, and actually wants to go back and be queen of the underworld. Just thought I'd throw that in.
Well, and don't forget the importance of the pomegranate in tarot. That story is actually directly reflected in the High Priestess card, where she's surrounded by the pomegranate behind her, because it's not only fruit of the knowledge, it's also the fruit of the ego, fruit of the divineness, the fruit of that. And there is argument that it is not an apple, but rather a pomegranate that Eve is tempted with. And by the way, it all comes through translations, because, as many of you know, in French, an apple is la pomme, and then pomegranate is the seed of the palm, or of the apple rather. And so you have pomegranate, you have like a mixed translation here. So if you even just want to follow the apple and the knowledge story of kind of like, once it's also a realization tale. It's a realization that you are full of good and capable of this evil. And you might feel like you're full of evil, but then capable of good. To me, having Saturn and Neptune get together, I think it's the rise of a superhero, to be honest. I think it's kind of a thing of like, once this not, and by the way, this world war that we're currently in the middle of is about knowledge. It's not bombs anymore. I mean, though bullets will be used, rocks will be thrown, but this is about knowledge. This is a battle for our brains. This is a battle for our free will. This is a battle for our consciousness, right? This is old school, Atlantean Lemurian conversation here. That's what this is. And when you see Saturn and Neptune get together like that, it is someone saying, you know what, the thing that you were hoping for is going to come true. The thing that you are going to manifest is going to become, your dreams are going to become your new thing. Great time to be forming a new business, to take off in a new business. It's a good time for you to, if you're trying to launch a new name brand, say for a new podcast coming out.
Are you going to do anything new, Brandon?
No, why would I ever do anything new? Well, I'm going to invite you right now. I would like you to be my first guest on my new sponsored podcast. How would that feel?
I'll just check what's in my calendar, but I think I can probably fit you in.
I knew you would pull that. I knew you would.
It's always important to play hard to get. Yes, well, when do you want?
Well, you'll be guided by a producer. Not the first time you've been guided by someone else. Number two, you'll be, oh gosh, this is terrible, Brandon. Number two, it will be cut up and disseminated all over the world. And when I say cut up, I don't mean like your shoulder. I mean into tiny sound bites with our sponsors' information as well. And by the way, I think you guys are going to really like this sponsor. Like, really like this sponsor. And the other opportunity in all of this too is, the goal of this is to spread kindness. And the goal of this is to really kind of say, all these negative things in the world aren't going to go away because we wish them to go away, but wishing them to go away is the first part. And being able to be optimistic or extra optimistic or supercalifragilistic extra optimistic is the way to go. So it's nice. I can't think of a better person to kick it off than you. Right?
Oh, bless you.
Elaine thinks you're cute.
Oh, thank you.
We love Penny. By the way, that's how I introduce myself. Penny, I love you. I think you're cute. And she goes, I'm a Taurus and a Leo rising. I say, I'm a Leo rising. She goes, oh my God, we're match made in heaven. Where are you? I go, where are you? You're in Malta, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm just in Malta. And I go, oh my God, I'm like right around the corner. You're like, where? What do you mean? No. What do you mean right around the corner? You're in Turkey? Like, anyways. Isn't that fun? So listen, why don't we do something fun here? And actually, I'm gonna ask you one question. I gotta fix my camera real quick. That's why I keep dropping off here. I keep having to do a little bit of adjustment. I'm starting to slide. But let me ask you this. What would you like for your birthday?
A solar return.
You'd like your solar return?
Yeah.
Right, hold on one second. Let me just adjust this real quick. Hold on.
Where you gone, Brandon?
I know, super professional. Everybody loves it. Here we go. So, yeah, because if not, it would have been like it just started to slip a little bit, and I would have ended up having to do the entire thing like this. And then hey, not the first time I've gone down here, but hey, how you doing, everybody? Thank you so much. Penny, you're terrible. All right, let's do, oh, geez, I can't figure out my layouts here. How about one of these? Couple of those, one of this. There we go. I got to get them straight.
That's not my photo.
Happy birthday to you. So your solar conjunct is, it was like 3 hours ago, 5 hours ago.
Yeah, so which means I'm already 70.
Oh my God.
How did that happen?
My goodness. So listen, of course you are a Taurus sun, you're a Leo rising, your moon is in
Pisces.
I'm sorry, your moon is in where?
Pisces.
Oh, that's why we get along so well.
Honey. It's conjunct your sun.
So right now you're dealing with some square sun energy or some square moon energy, but that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. What that can be is that you are being activated right now, and having Cancer be the rising of the time and having your ascendant conjunct to Mars right now, by the way, right?
Oh, yes.
In your second house means a ton of financial stuff coming your way this year. This is stability. This is going to allow you to kind of be like, no, you know what, Brandon? I'm not doing that for less than 12 quid. And I'll be like, what? I don't even know what a quid is. I don't even know what any of that crap is. But it does empower you in a way to negotiate. And again, the answer still might be no, and then you still make a decision. But I think for you, it's more about taking control of this. It also means movement. It also means that you're going to move to a more stable situation all the way around, just not financial, but emotional. And could that be you moving this year? Man, kind of, sort of.
I hope so.
Kind of, sort of, because then I'm kind of looking at how this is affecting.
I think it's interesting, the south node on the IC and the north node on the MC.
So you're just going to get into a groove and be comfortable. Like, this becomes a way of life for you. And having so much activity in your 10th house is also kind of that expansion, right? It's that knowledge base of hey, you're going to be the subject matter expert. Having Venus in your 10th house here is a huge indicator for you of kind of doing what you love. And the fact that it's still conjunct to Neptune, but kind of moving away from it, to me tells me like you've launched your dreams a while ago, and now you're just kind of making it go there. And it's funny that I brought up the superhero thing. You're a superhero to a lot of people. You give a lot of inspiration to things. So I think if I was going to coach you and advise you on this in a reading, I'd say you should really be in the lane of inspiration. You've already got the knowledge base down. Be of inspiration. And by the way, this is also going to heal yourself as Chiron kind of does that last bit of movement here in your 10th house. And by the way, this has been in position for you in Aries for, I mean, how long has this Chiron been? 14, 11 years, something like that?
I can't remember.
It feels like a decade, doesn't it?
Well, it's a long, it takes 50 years, I think, to go around the whole zodiac. So,
right. Well, let me tell you something. This feels like it's been in there forever. And I know it's only a matter of 14 months or whatever, 15 months, but this is a bit of a doozy. And having this sun conjunct Uranus hit your 11th house is that kind of impact there. You got yourself right with this surgery. You got yourself put into a position where you're like, you know what? I got to clean this up because I got to tackle this. I got stuff to do. Everybody, I gotta make sure I can hold my arms up over my head for hours while I'm doing my business. What is up with you with that? Like, why? What is up with
that? Listen, do you think I will get my relocation this year to the UK?
Oh God, yeah. And I'm gonna give you the three
And where
indicators
do you
here.
get that? Where do you get that from? Is it the south node in the fourth house?
So yeah, so first of all, the south node in the fourth house is kind of like this is a return home. By the way,
Mm,
Virgo being birth and birthplace, you're gonna feel more comfortable there,
yeah, that
right?
feels right. Yeah.
Having the Pisces, and again, I don't know what degree your moon is here off the top
It's
of my
10,
head.
10 and a few minutes, but I can't remember exactly. 10 and a few minutes.
17 minutes. So, okay, so by the end of next year, you're in a new spot, right?
Okay.
Yeah, by the end of this solar year. So
Okay.
maybe maybe you're moving in February.
Okay.
Maybe you're moving just after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's indicator number one. Number two, having Jupiter
In
in
the
Gemini. This is a year of duality too, since it's in your 12th house and since you do spiritual work. You're
mm-hmm.
also going to have, the relocation indicator of Jupiter is super huge, right? Having
Yeah.
it be and having it, having the moon and Jupiter in opposition of one another is a telltale sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
The moon is hitting in your solar return chart in the sixth house, which
Yeah.
is the things that are around you. Jupiter is on the other side of the chart, almost direct opposition. That's a
Yeah.
movement, everybody. That's a
It's a
get up and go. And it's
right.
an expansion. It's going to be good for you. Now,
Mm.
if the moon was opposite like Uranus, it would be like, yeah, you had to move overnight. There was something
Yeah.
major. If it was opposite of Venus, it's going to be something you've always wanted to do. You, since it is Jupiter, you are moving because you feel more comfortable with where you're moving to, and that it's not a knock on Gozo.
Yes. I'm not going back to, I'm returning to my home. There's a difference. I'm not going back. Does that make sense?
No, it makes
Because
perfect
I'm
sense.
going forward to my future.
It makes perfect sense. And listen, Mercury also being here is not directly conjunct with anything. It's very individual. So if I'm giving advice on this, I'm going to say to you, this has to be calculated, and you have to do the work. You have to pick up the phone to the agent. You
Mm,
have to call about that home.
mm,
You have to say, "Hey, I'm ready to go, universe. Here we go." If you sit
mm,
back on your laurels, you'll be fine. You're comfortable enough,
mm.
but then it will be a moment of regret. The shoulda, coulda, woulda, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think
And I don't want that.
I think those are the major indicators there. That Mercury, believe it or not, is a sneaky thing for you right here,
Mhm,
because this is the challenge of you deciding that your voice is going to be heard.
mhm.
So this means negotiation. This means you're going to say to them, hey, listen, and again, by the way, having Mars and your rising right there in the second house is just going to serve you so well here.
Yeah.
It really is.
And
And
Harry, can I tell you something? My progressed Mars and my progressed Jupiter are conjunct that Mars just over my ascendant in my first house.
the
My
defense
progressed
rests, Your
Mars,
Honor.
my progressed Jupiter. What we need to do is explain what we're talking about to everybody who's watching, because if you want to have a solar return reading, it is super helpful to plan out
Yeah.
the coming year. And both Brandon and myself will do solar return readings for people. And it's just a really useful tool to get a sense of how things are going to unfold in the coming year till your next birthday.
Yeah, and you don't have to be right up against your birthday in order to do that either.
No.
Um, and I'll explain a little bit more as to why, a couple of the things that I just said. So Mercury is sitting here in the 11th house. You
Mm-hmm.
have it squared to Pluto. And Pluto is this energetic go get 'em. You're going to
Mm.
feel slightly irritated until you get there.
Yeah.
Like, it's an irritation. It's an empowerment, but
Mm.
it's kind of like it's that person that says, "You know what? I always wanted to clean this room, and for the next 3 hours I clean the room." Like,
Mm.
that's that feel. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that you're at least prepared to take the next step to be able to do the things that you're meant to do.
Mm.
What I also kind of feel, too, with this, with the Jupiter opposition to the moon here,
Mm.
is this is also going to, I'm going to say it.
Go
I'm
on.
going to say it. Your bow is waiting for you, Penny.
Mm-hmm. So it's time to shoot the arrow.
Your bow is waiting for you.
Oh,
In other words,
okay. Now that's interesting because I was thinking of that retrograde Pluto in the 7th house.
well, hear me when I say this. You had
Mm-hmm.
to scrub that up. And again, not to get personal, but you probably cleaned up some old relationships during
Yes,
that time. You
very
said
true.
goodbye to you, Patty Smythe.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you said, listen, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. And I want it to be fruitful. And if you're going to be a part of it, you have to reach this standard.
Yes.
That is what Jupiter, or that is what Pluto going retrograde in your 7th house is going to do.
Yeah.
Right? Capricorn, super practical. This works, this doesn't work. And then as it moves into Aquarius, you're like, I need a soulmate, like gangster level, like
Yes.
wingman here. I don't need, and especially with Mercury, you're going to be like super discerning. You're going to be like, no, we're not, we're not bar flying at 2 a.m. No, we're not going to just swipe right and see what happens. Like this is a very kind of something's going to catch your eye and you're going to go, well, hello there, good sir. Can we have a weekend? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, my arms go up over my head.
Now.
I'm not wrong. I'm not
yet.
wrong.
Do that for 4 weeks, the physio told me. So did the surgeon.
Ease into it. Don't start out with the ropes course. How many times do I have to tell you that? So again, this is a really positive chart. Like I think your biggest challenge in all of this is feeling frustrated when you don't get it right away. But that's just Penny 101, right?
Because already it's like things are going like, and then look, so we're not quite getting there yet. So it's about timing, isn't it?
It is about timing. But could you do that again? The do.
Look.
Like I said, I have new equipment. That's terrible. Did I just size you up like that? I think I did. So now the other part of this, though, with the things with your return, and this is just knowing you and your resilience, you have a tendency of absorbing it, processing it, and putting it out. I think your processing is going to be faster. Speaking of new equipment, speaking of new computer equipment, I think you have a faster process now, where I think you're proving yourself with this has been a year of health for you. And if you're going to move into the next phase for you, you're moving into a phase of relationships. And Aquarian relationships are just different. They are, and having Aquarius somehow in your 7th house with Pluto sitting there, this is going to put a huge emphasis on this. So you're going from the 6th house to the 7th house, right? And then, by the way, next year when you move into the 8th house with all of this, well, then you're just going to make babies.
I think that ship might have sailed.
Listen, don't knock medicine till you try it. But on the other side of that, though, this is about, so then it will be, something about creating a new lexicon of self, being able to graft yourself to other things so that then it grows. I remember when 50 was old.
Oh, I hated
it. Do you remember that when you were like, when Paul McCartney was like, when I'm 65, and you were just like, and meanwhile he's like 83 now, and we're all like looking at each other going, he's knocking it out of the park, right? Knocking it out of the park is the phrase of the day.
70 is like big shit. Whoa.
Well, 70 is kind of sort of the new 50 to me in a way. Because one of the things that I think that you've got to kind of recognize is that, we've shifted timelines. There has been a timeline shift here. I can't explain it. I'm hearing it everywhere.
Yes.
I'm seeing evidence of it. And there's no reason why we can't start accomplishing and having like our Uranus return be kind of a mile marker of jump off points.
Yeah.
You know, like there are some people, like you're seeing what's going on with this generation now as they become an octarian. They just don't, you know, they're like, okay, just falling apart, going to be Grandpa Jones. You know, I have an aunt and uncle that are pushing, you know, that are in their 80s and they travel the world and they have no problem doing it. And they're beautiful souls, but they
Janice,
incorporated a lot.
thank you, Janice. That's wonderful.
And listen, they embraced this age of Aquarius energy a long time ago. Right? They embraced it in a way where they're just like, hey, you're going to do you, I'm going to do myself. And when we get together, this is us. And they have a wonderful relationship because of that. And moreover, I think we're beginning to realize that that's the way to go. And I think you in particular, you value a partner differently now.
Yeah.
You value a partner. You're not looking to be saved anymore.
Oh, God, no. God,
right.
No. I'm rescuing myself quite well. You know, I'm managing to look after myself beautifully. But I want to say about this, because a lot of astrologers and spiritual teachers, channelers, etc., have talked about this evolutionary shift and growth for humankind's consciousness. And when you mentioned the shift in timelines, I think that's very much where we are now. And this is very much Pluto in Aquarius. And I certainly feel, just even personally, that and actually I was listening to, I think it was Pam Gregory recently, and she was again talking about the fact that we are going through this evolutionary shift and evolving of consciousness. And I can feel it. It's as if I just know stuff.
And listen, you're still part of it.
Yes. And I can see these timelines spreading out in front of me, a bit like that spider that was coming down in front of the computer. And it's like sending out, you know, I can just choose in a nanosecond, oh, I think I'll choose this timeline because this one looks cooler or better. And those that want to be with me on that timeline will come.
You're explaining it perfect.
And
it's I turn into De Niro.
It's super exciting, isn't it?
Well, and listen, spider medicine, which is a real thing when you're doing self-healing.
Symbolism of spiders, because I think that's very interesting that this spider came down today. Spider is fine. Spider has gone back to the sort of little shelf I've got above where the laptop is.
And the spider is what you're going to blame on the love bite on your neck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure. What the hell?
Is that, well, how did you know that this strap was actually here to cover that?
Don't knock it till you try it.
What about this baby?
Holy Toledo, what is up with this? Who is bruising you? Who do I have to take out?
Well, it was the anesthetist nurse, the anesthetist nurse who had the strap round to try and get a vein in my hand to put in the cannula. And I got back to the room and I thought, what?
That's it right there. That's your picture for your dating profile. Just hold your arm up. Right there. Guys will be like,
Tell me about spiders.
But listen, let me just talk about spider energy here for a second. Because spider energy is very healing. It's about pulling in all of the resources that you have. It is taking a holistic approach, but also not negating things like Western medicine as well. So it's taking, I mean, listen, the shoulder surgery that you had wasn't performed until about 25 years ago. And in those 25 years, it became orthoscopic and you're able to move your arm in a week instead of 5 years, right? So the advances that we have, spider medicine actually embraces the idea that a good cup of tea that will help your insides kind of progress and you know, function and coalesce and all of that is equally as important as the doctor that did those things. Now, the nurse esthetician that put you under and plugged you 4 ways to Sunday.
You know what I find very helpful with nurses, doctors, is if they actually say, you're fine. You're doing fine. Just those words. And I go,
Huh. I mean, is there anything better than that?
It's lovely when someone says that.
No.
You're
Well,
fine.
listen, I got you something for your birthday.
Oh,
Are you ready?
yeah, go on then.
I got you a plane. I just figured, oh, there you go. How about this screen?
I'll tell you what.
How about less than you?
Who wants me as president?
Oh,
Tell
I
me
would vote for you.
like me as president.
Well, listen, you're not qualified, but then again, neither was he.
Exactly my point. I think I could do a better job somehow.
Let me tell you something. I think if we got you this plane right here, we can get you here to the US for a tour. What do you say?
Yeah, go on then.
When are you going to be able to travel?
Oh, not for a while yet, Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Not for a while.
Oh, I can be VP? I mean, here's the thing. I have a healthy relationship with couches.
Mm.
Thank you for getting that. You're welcome. Good night.
Thank you for my present. It's lovely.
Right. So listen, let's get scheduled.
Oh, you can be my vice president. Sorry, that went straight over my head, didn't it?
Oh my God. Listen, I would be in the office right next to yours. You're in the Oval Office. I'm in the rhombus room. I'm in the romper room. What would our policies be? Like, what would we?
Well, I think I would try to teach some common sense.
On what primer, though? See, that's the whole thing.
Mm.
I mean, right now, PBS lost its funding, and PBS got basically about 18% of its operating budget from the federal government, but it's still significant. Like it's a matter of survival or not. And one of the other things that public television and public networking, public radio, all of those things get is that they got the power of a government contract for things like their rent and that sort of thing. So they really kind of had a rent control thing. And that allowed them to stay in a building for $500 a month. Well, in the open market, that's $5,000 now. So they're going to really get squeezed and really get tight. Oh my God, who would our justices be?
I don't know people, so I don't know who I would suggest. Actually, I'd have King Charles III as one of mine.
You have King Charles III as a judge?
He's a cool bloke. He's very sensible.
We're starting to have like a world government here, right? I mean, listen, if Trump had his choice, he'd put Idi Amin in charge of the military. That's awful, Brandon. I can't believe I said that. But I think that we would. I'll tell you what I would do if I was in charge. I would have a cabinet that not only represented the people, but also represented the ideas. I would make sure that if I ran on a Democratic ticket, I would actually have Republican people in place too. I want argument internal, like we've externalized arguments, so then it becomes opinion and we don't get shit done.
Debate. People don't debate anymore. They just give orders. We've lost the art of debate.
Right.
Discussing.
And it's
okay, like, Andy. See you soon, darling.
Okay, good to see you. We're wrapping up here anyways, but you know, it's a story of like the what if. Maybe that's what maybe we should do a show of what if. And take people from history that are great leaders. I'll tell you someone that I would have on my council in a second. I would probably make them White House counsel. Maybe not counsel, but advisor is Simon Sinek, who is a great thought leader when it comes. He's big in the United States because of his work with companies and resolution and leadership coaching.
I agree. Sorry. She said we've lost the art of compromising.
Yeah, and Debbie's 100% correct on that because we don't compromise anymore. We just try and shout over each other. Just look at your local internet. You know, I mean, I post things on Facebook to piss people off sometimes, you know, and now I'm clearly on this side of let's not be a fascist government. But, you know, I'm pointing out that you guys can't even back out of this because he's taking a $400 million plane and you can't defend him. I mean, he's doing the indefensible. right? And integrity doesn't mean that you didn't make a mistake. Like, that's the problem. People think that integrity is perfection. Like, people fuck up all the time. It is what you do with it. It is, you know, when Walz was running as vice president, he was like, yeah, that wasn't a good look. I backed out of a marriage the wrong way because it's the first time I'd ever done it. I would not do that again, nor would I be put in a position like that. Oh my God, that's somebody you want in charge. But meanwhile, he's been convicted and indicted over and over again. He still has people coming out of the woodworks for sexual abuse. He still has people, contractors that haven't been paid. It's insane. I love being with you, Penny.
That's right. Drug mobster.
What's that?
Debbie is saying he let a drug mobster family come to America.
He is a mobster. It's the only thing he can do is be a mobster, right? What about who's a good leader in Europe? Like, what do you think of Mark Carney?
Oh, I love Mark Carney. I think
how do you not? How do you not just love that guy?
Oh, you've gone. Where have you gone? Hello? He's gone.
I'm not gone. I'm right here. Sorry.
No,
I think Mark Carney.
Cool.
What's that?
I think Mark Carney is cool. Cool guy.
I think Mark Carney is one of those people that is the right person. I don't agree with all of his stuff politically. Again, once again, I'm saying those words.
I don't agree with everything that anyone stands for.
I don't agree with like 10%. I agree with about 10% of the things you say.
Yeah, because what? How dare you? But the thing is, this is where the art of debate is supposed to come in and compromise and going, okay, I respect your point. My sense about it or my feeling is different. Let's agree to differ on this point until I have different evidence that tells me that it could be what you're saying.
So in the golden age of televised, in the golden age of televised things in politics and that sort of thing, we had a Speaker of the House and his name was Tip O'Neill. Now, Tip O'Neill was a rough and tumble Irishman from Boston, or at least Eastern Massachusetts, if I recall correctly. I definitely know that his federal building's named there. And he became Speaker of the House. Well, Tip O'Neill was just the preeminent networker. He was the preeminent, let's sit down and talk about this. And he was a renowned Democrat. He was a Kennedy Democrat. Let's say it that way. He was a Kennedy Democrat, which means something now. And he would sit there on the floor and basically scold people. He would be like, you know, somebody would get up, they'd use their 3 minutes to make their point, and then he would be like, well, that was, you know, we really appreciate that, but, you know, you realize that you didn't actually move the needle and you didn't progress the conversation. You just complained for the last 3 minutes. Please use your time wisely next time. Like, he would just eviscerate people. And he wouldn't do it in a mean way. He would say it in a way of like, you know, to keep decorum, could you please have a point? You know, he would say something like that and be annoyed. And people would get mad at him. They would, you know, slam their papers down and everything else. And they'd come up to him right after, you know, this, you know, congressional, you know, session has come to a draw, you know, blah, 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 you know, Speaker of the House, thank you very much, blah, 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 all that stuff. And then he would walk right down, he'd shake that person's hand, and he goes, let's go get a beer.
Yeah.
And then he'd take him to a beer, and he would sit there and he'd say, let me tell you why I had to say that to you. I like you, but don't turn it into a clown court on me. Don't turn it. He would progress the conversation to a solution. That's the shit we need right now. Right?
And I like what Play, Love, Remember is saying, called the Council of Elder Souls, nothing to do with one's age. You know, and I like what Annabelle is saying. I disagree with you intensely, but I defend to the death your right to disagree. Freedom of speech has gone mostly. Absolutely.
I think we need to fully embrace shamanic tradition with our restructure.
Yes. And maybe that's what Neptune conjunct Saturn will bring, because Saturn will bring in the structure to the numinosity of the Neptune energy in Aries about new beginnings. So we
Yeah.
get a new spiritual leader, or we get spirituality being part of leadership, but not in a traditional organized religious way, but actually in, like we have through astrology and our knowing, our intuition, our gut
Right.
feeling. We move out of this sense of everything is clockwork, but actually that, you know, the wisdom of the wisdom that we find through the Aquarius elevation of our consciousness. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And how we argue is how we progress. You know, here is a perfect example. And if this hits close to home, good. We were raised by imperfect people, right? Our mother did something, our father did something. This was of lacking, this was of said. And how we process that means everything. They did the best they could, whatever that means. Sometimes they just end up being mean people. Other times they have that one nugget of thing where they're like, that didn't work for me. We blow that out and turn it into childhood trauma all the time, instead of microdosing it the way we should and say, that must have been a bad day for my mom. Or that could have been a bad situation. And then we blow it out because we don't deal with it. We push it under the carpet and we let it mold and you know, take over the carpet.
Yeah.
Where instead, if we actually dealt with it as it came up, nothing would fester like that. It's a thing.
Can I say something?
Yeah, dive in.
I'm actually getting tired now because I need to actually rest my arm.
Hun, I love you to death. I'm so glad you did this.
So
Heart
am I.
tap to you and everybody else. And we're going to remind everybody to simply keep going. Stay tuned for more. Love
And
you,
thank
Penny.
you for all the birthday wishes, healing vibes, everything. I will get back to you with replies to the comments when I have a little bit more energy, but it's all fully and absolutely appreciated. Thank you.
All my bags are packed. I'm ready to
I'm
go.
ready to go.
I'm standing right outside your door.
Outside your door.
I'd hate to wake you up to say goodbye. So we're leaving on a jet plane. That was my parents' wedding song, by the way. That was my parents' wedding song. All right. Keep going, everybody. Thanks so much. Heart taps to everybody. Penny, you look great. Simple recovery. Be careful how you tap that, hun. Talk to you later. Bye, all.